Today we're going to show you how to use the Premier Headlight Cleaning Restoration Kit. There are a number of stores in the company currently using McGuire's Headlight Cleaning Kit. However, to begin the process of being able to get familiar and to be able to generate some revenue, to be able to afford those types of kits, we'll be showing you how to use the Premier Kit today. On the GFL University CVTs, there are a couple of CVTs regarding headlight cleaning, and they are phenomenal, and I highly recommend that you watch them. However, this one shows you specifically how to use the Premier Kit and not just necessarily the headlight cleaning process itself. With the Premier Kit, there are 3 different types of grit. There is 1000, which you can see on the back side of the paper, 600, and this one is 60. The lower the grit, the more it takes off. So we currently aren't aware of a situation that would require this type of grit. However, this tool does become very handy in a different way. If you find yourself in a very severe headlight cleaning situation, don't be afraid to use this, but this should be used very rarely. The 600 kit is what we normally work with, and then the 1000 is what we normally would use on a vehicle that doesn't have very severe headlights. Be something that is just barely starting to get there. So what we'll do today is we're going to start out by taping the actual vehicle. Now, the tape that comes with the Premier is much thinner. I highly recommend the, it's about 2 inches wide masking tape. This is what will come with the actual Premier Kit. It's just so small that I don't necessarily recommend it. And as you are performing this, you want to make sure that you get underneath the headlight itself, so that when it actually is being performed, it won't get any type of paint that's around the frame of the actual headlight itself. So you can see that I'm sliding it into those crevices.
You're set to go.
As you tape, you can't be too meticulous. Obviously, you don't want to take forever and a day. However, the last thing you would want would be to damage a customer's vehicle or paint job because you didn't do your prep work properly. Right, now, the next part after is we would begin the 600 grit, as you can see here. Now what we're going to use this actual brick for isn't to actually do the grit, but we're actually going to fold it along the outside, just like so. It makes it a little bit easier to be able to do the service itself with this instead of having to use the sandpaper itself. As you do it, you're going to want to do it completely sideways the entire time. And be prepared for definitely a little bit of burn. It does take a little bit getting used to. You'll see that it starts to get quite a build up down there. Now remember, a lot of the times our customers don't necessarily see the oil that's going in their vehicle. So it can be difficult at times for them to see the quality of your workmanship. However, in this particular service, this is something that they see very clearly. And if we don't do a solid job, they're not going to see the value in the service. Don't get me wrong, We need to be fast. We need to be productive. However, with this particular service, it's all about quality. And sometimes when you need to get close to a border, you can ditch the brick for a second. I don't know if this is called a brick. I'm just going to call it a brick. Again, make sure that you don't forget about these corners and edges. When you set this down, don't set this portion on the ground. You don't want to get any unwanted particles on it to scratch it. So go ahead and set it on the back side that you're not using on the ground. Then you'll go ahead and take a clean white rag, go ahead and wipe it off. As you look at this, it'll look like you scratched the daylights out of the headlights, which is true, you did. What you're doing is taking off part of that oxidation, and as you look across, you'll be able to see if there's portions that you didn't do very well. Once you feel comfortable about it, then you'll go ahead and you'll move together to the 1000 piece. When you do the 1000 piece, you're actually going to add water to this one. So take a clean pair of water, or a bottle of water. Actually spray it on the paper itself, not directly on the headlight itself. Okay. Now, what we'll do is go ahead and take the clean side of our rag, and go ahead and spray this down and wipe it off. Repeat that step again. You want to make sure you get it as good as possible. Now, at this process, you're going to think to yourself that you actually didn't do very well, because it doesn't actually look better, and that's the truth. So that's because you haven't finished the final step. Once you've made sure you've wiped it off and it's nice and clean, nice and dry, then you're going to go ahead and prepare, because you're going to spray some stuff there. So what you'll do is make sure you cover this. Also, maybe get a red rag or two. Make sure you coat these different sides. It also comes with a little bit of paper. This paper, snag some tape. Grab a little bit of paper. Make sure that you're covering this up nicely. Don't want to get anything there. So a nice one right here. Alright, now that it's nice and covered, what we're going to do is go ahead and complete the last part of the process, which is adding a protectant layer over it. And as you do that, it really does take a skill or an art to be able to apply it properly. You definitely do not want to add it definitely don't want to add it too much. It's if any of you guys have done any body work before, never painted a vehicle, it's the same thing. You don't want it to run. But at the same time, if you don't add enough and you don't add it evenly, it's not going to look well. So what you do is get nice and centered on the vehicle. Make sure you shake it up very well. And then what you're going to do is you're going to spray kind of side to side to side to side. And one thing we've kind of done is we usually just kind of spray the brown part here, just to make sure it's nice and clean. Then you go ahead and start. Then as you look at it, you'll be able to see where it's nice and clean and where some areas need a little bit of touch-up. It'll just come with time. Now, it's definitely going to look a lot better, but this is only the first coat that we're doing. Then what we do is we wait here for 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. The point is you want this to be able to get a good solid surface, and then we're going to add a second layer again here in a minute. So I'm going to turn the camera off here for this portion, and then we'll go ahead and meet back in just about 3 minutes. Okay, now 3 minutes later, we're going to go ahead and add a second layer, making sure that we keep it nice, even. And you'll see as we continue to go, it gets even clearer the second go around. And then we're done. But let's try a view from a different angle. We ended up taking a GoPro video camera and ended up putting it inside a headlight of a Lexus. And we had already begun the scraping and sanding process. Ended up wetting it down and continuing to go, as you can see here. Obviously this is a much faster time lapse. Then we're going to watch it slow down here. This is what it looks like right before we spray. And then now you'll begin to see when we add the spray here. From the beginning of when we made this movie till now, you can see how incredibly different the visibility is on this vehicle. Always wanting to make sure that you look for any opportunities to try to clean it up as much as possible. Then we went ahead and waited our 3 minutes. This time here you can see that it's hardening a little bit and we're getting a slightly better view. It's difficult to be able to fully see it. However, if you do pay attention, you can see it quite well. Then we slow it down and we go back to our second coat. Now look how clear that is right there. That is very, very different